History is of no consequence to both sides, but then they would look back not too long ago, when Sri Lanka chased down India's 321 in London with ease. But now, the stakes are lower. India want to win to try and clinch the top spot, while their neighbours have just pride to play for. Remember, Lanka, the big game hunters, opened up this World Cup and would love to peg back India too. If there's one man who's perhaps most excited, it's India's hitman, whose double tons have been Lanka's nightmares. It's the last day of the league stage and the last show at Headingley. Who will have a dream and who will get a nightmare?
India and Sri Lanka, two words when put together are probably the most used words in ODI cricket. That's because these two teams have played the most ODIs in the history of one-day cricket. This is ODI number 159 between India and Sri Lanka, the first one in this World Cup. It is a dead rubber on paper because India, as you know, have already qualified for the semi-final. Sri Lanka are out of the race, but still plenty to gain for both the teams. For India, they'd be looking to finish on top of the table, thereby playing the fourth team in those top four. For Sri Lanka, they are the number 9th ranked ODI team in the world. A win here would push them in the middle of the table with the World Cup, which will be a minor victory for them. You're watching ESPN Cricinfo Matchday 2019 on what is the last day of the round robin league of the World Cup. I'm Nikhil Naz in the company of Ajit, Agarkar and Dan Vettori here in the studio, and we've got Tillakaratne Dilshan joining us from the comfortable confines of his home in Sri Lanka. Ajit, I'll start with you on this one. We are all building it up as a game where India would want to finish on top of the table. Would the Indian team and Virat Kohli be looking at it like that?
They'd want to win. I don't know whether it'll matter much if you finish on top of the table, because it's not like New Zealand is a gimme game. You know, you know how good a team New Zealand is, and even after their few losses or recent losses, they'll still be very difficult to beat. So I think he'll just want to win going into the semi-final, and if that happens to get India to number 1 spot, so be it. If not, they'll still have to beat England and get to the final, or a good New Zealand team and get to the final. So I think India will be desperate to win, because you don't want to go with any sort of doubts into the semi-final.
Okay, I don't know if it's a great situation to be in for New Zealand, where every team is trying to play New Zealand in the semi-final. But for India, as Ajit also points out, the fact is they lost to England, and if they were to play England in the semi-final, then it sometimes goes out of the controllables that may have a team that's beaten them, so they'd rather finish on top of the table.
I think so, but I think Ajit's right. I don't think they will worry about anything but the win, and they want a performance today that builds into that semi-final. So they want some guys who haven't performed possibly to step up. They want the guys who played really well like Rohit and Virat to keep going with what they've been doing. I think they'll settle on a final combination with a view to either Edgbaston or Old Trafford, but probably Edgbaston, so they'll look at that. And I think they'll have confidence against whoever they're playing, because they've been so good for so long. So they'll get that confidence from winning today rather than where they finish on the table.
I know Dan said yesterday, warm-ups don't matter. But New Zealand's beaten India in the warm-up. Shouldn't forget that.
Oh, they do matter. Sorry. No, sorry. You misheard.
So there's no easy game after this. So India, like I said, India would just want to win today and worry about the semi-final later.
Also, New Zealand playing at Old Trafford, that's certain, and that's a ground that probably, they'd be happy, and other teams would be wary of them, because it seems like a ground which is a low total sort of a ground.
Well, I think it depends on the pitch. I think the pitches are playing such a big factor in the game so far. We've seen Edgbaston particularly, where the wicket is slowed up. Headingley, the wicket's slowed up. Old Trafford, more often than not, is a good wicket, so it'll be a fresh wicket. So I think New Zealand will be excited to go there and hopefully play on a good wicket, like all the teams, because I think if you play on the flat wickets in the most important games, or the good wickets in the most important games, then it takes the toss out of play and you can have a contest. We don't want to go to one of those two semi-finals and a toss has a big bearing on the game.
Okay, let's go across to Tillakaratne Dilshan as well, who's joining us live now from Sri Lanka. Dilshan, on this particular ground, Sri Lanka beat one of the title contenders in England. So do you think the team is going to go in with that sort of confidence, because it's the same ground now?
Yeah, definitely. Thing is, this is the last game of the tournament. I think we have to. We are. I think putting all the effort and 100% and try to finish well this World Cup. I think definitely that confidence also there. We are carrying beat England, one of the best team in this competition. I think all confidence. I think they bring to this game and finish high note. Especially if you can beat India, is very good for the all the team members to go future and forward.
All right, Ajit, just a word on the pictures that we're seeing for the right holders. Mumbai Indians now. We just saw Bumrah and Lasith Malinga shake hands. Also, there's Rohit Sharma there.
Yeah, I mean, not surprised. I think they've spent so much time together. They know each other well. I think Bumrah's obviously learnt a lot just bowling with Malinga and seems to be following his footsteps at the moment. So, yeah, I think generally over the years also, these teams have had some good friendships amongst them.
Malinga's been his bowling coach as well.
Yeah.
They've been
Yes.
teammates and bowling coach and back and forth. So I'm sure Ajit's right. They've learned a lot off each other as well. And I think Malinga's played a big part in Bumrah's development.
All right, let's now take you live to Headingley now. Joining us from there, Alexis Nunes and Murli Karthik there standing by. Over to you, Alexis.
Thanks so much, guys. Well, yes, we are back here at Headingley. Slightly different atmosphere from the West Indies up against Afghanistan. I've finally found people who are actually louder than I am. As a matter of fact, our hotel was an absolute mob this morning, apart from a 6 a.m. fire alarm that was a false fire alarm. 200 fans from India came just to stay in the hotel to watch this match, and as you guys noted, it could be viewed as a dead rubber, at least on paper, but don't tell it to these guys here, because Karthik, you've even gotten mobbed already.
Look, I'm actually finding it a bit surprising. Are they here because they love India so much, or are they here because of the fact that it's World Cup, or are they here because they've got the tickets?
And they can't return the tickets, exactly.
And they have to use the tickets. It's something like that, because it is a dead rubber, but it doesn't seem to stop people from filling in. The ground's already filled in. Obviously, we're slightly outside the ground. It'll be interesting what India go with today.
But there is a slight little rivalry between India and Sri Lanka, isn't there?
Yeah, it has been. It has been a very good rivalry, because Sri Lanka has been a very strong side for a very long time. Yes, of late, they've not been the side which they were, possibly in times of transition, with whatever is going around in their own nation, all the politics or whatever. But yeah, there has been some good rivalry. They still have got some really good players. And you never know. Sometimes you take the foot off the pedal. And as Ajit and Dan mentioned, India would want to finish number one. Personally, Ajit sitting over here and being here, I just get a feeling that India would rather be facing New Zealand. No disrespect to New Zealand, but the fact that I feel that there are more chinks in New Zealand's armory than England, and a resurgent England, because they've got all their bases covered. Yes, England, the games which they have lost have capitulated quite quickly. But the games where they've won, they've been really strong. Whereas New Zealand opening order is a big trouble. The middle order, apart from Kane and Ross, the others are yet to get runs. Yes, Neesham has done well. Possibly India would fancy to finish if they finish first if they can, and then face New Zealand. And also from an Indian point of view, I just get a feeling that possibly Ravindra Jadeja might come into the fray, not because of what he said, but because of the fact that he generally might come into the fray for the games from here on.
Well, interesting you should say that. We'll let Dan have a moment to clap back after this, because Dan, I'm on your side here for this one. I'm all here for clapback season. But anyways, Murli, so I know you weren't able to get down right on the pitch too, because we had to set up and frame up to make sure that we look good. But what do you make of the conditions and what you're seeing from the pitch now?
Yeah, it's rained a bit over here. It's overcast, and it's also expected to be cloudy right through the day. It has a bit of green. Obviously, we've seen it from slightly afar. And the wickets have tended to slow down, so it'll be interesting what India do. But I do get a feeling that possibly in place of Dinesh Karthik, Ravindra Jadeja comes in.
Now, I've done this with Mikey Holding for the West Indies. I've done this with Graham Swan as well with England. So I'm going to do it with you now. I want a little wish list. It's hard to criticize India really and truly, because they are such a solid unit and have been showing that this tournament long. But like we always say, everybody's far from perfect. I know there's a lot of questions around that middle order. So give me a wish list of what you want to see India really tackle and try to perfect in this match against Sri Lanka.
Can I just have one or a few? Or
No,
two,
a
three?
few.
Okay.
Rattle off.
My first wish list is that KL Rahul carries on after those brilliant starts. The second wish list is possibly a bit more intent in the later when India is batting. And again, I don't know whether Ajit agrees with me on this, possibly Shami and his death bowling, because he's a far improved or a much improved white ball bowler. We know how good he is with the new ball in the middle overs, but that's where I think Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and Bumrah outscore him when it comes to bowling in the death. So it'll be interesting how Virat Kohli uses him if all three play. But I don't know what Ajit thinks of it as a fast bowler. I feel Shami's death bowling can possibly, because he's a fabulous bowler.
Well, I had to just check my phone there because we're staying in contact with our other colleague Nagraj, who is inside and, always keeps his ear close to the ground, especially when it is India. We were talking about some possible changes that we could see. One of the questions was, do you think India would or should rest a certain Ms Dhoni for this match? Would you like to see that?
No, I don't want him to be rested because he's a key and an integral member. I don't know what happens behind closed doors. But for sure, look, I've been a huge MSD fan for a long, long time. But the game the game which they lost against England, everybody saw. And that's one thing which you want to see him. I know he's 38, he's not a spring chicken any longer, and he's not going to hit the way he used to hit when he was 25, 26, but sometimes the intent more than anything else. And again, he's a brilliant brain himself. So I don't know what goes on, what the team management thinks and what they want his role to be. But from the outside, for former players and for fans, you just want to see MSD at his best. That's all you want.
Definitely, and we know that Karthik has been at his best with the low-key sledging of New Zealand, so I hope Dan has something big for him after.
No low-key sledging. It's just that from an Indian point of view, and I think Dan would be the first man to agree that their openers haven't fired, and the middle order has been under a bit of strife. So as an opposition, which team would you want to play at this very moment, given the fact that England are strong?
We'll leave it at that then.
All right, thanks so much for that. Thanks so much for that, Alexis. Murli Karthik has made one left-arm orthodox spinner happy in Ravindra Jadeja, wanting him inside there, but he's made the other left-arm orthodox spinner in the studio, Daniel Vettori, very unhappy, saying every team would like to, play New Zealand. But I must remind Karthik, there is the president of the left-arm orthodox spin club, and that is Dan Vettori. His membership is under threat. We might just remove him after that comment.
Objectively, I completely understand what Karthik's saying. Subjectively, when you say no disrespect, it's the ultimate disrespect. So, look, I think any team that plays any team in a semi-final will be feeling the pressure of the game. So, New Zealand will probably want to walk into a game as underdogs with no pressure, play against either Australia or India, because they do have good records against them, and they've got nothing to lose. So, I agree with what Karthik's saying around the mindset of the other teams. Maybe New Zealand's lost 3 games in a row, so are they considered an easier opposition? I think any team that makes a semi-final is a very tough team to beat.
All right, as much as we love talking about New Zealand, they are the perennial good guys of international cricket, but for the moment we'll take a short break because India versus Sri Lanka is on our mind. That's on the other side.
Favorite piece of advice you got from Ms Dhoni behind the stumps?
There are plenty, but I think when one is, he always tells that you got more time than the batsman, so think clearly.
One quality of Chahal you wish you had?
He's very calm when he comes to ball.
Okay, composed. If not a cricketer, what would Kuldeep Yadav be?
I don't know, but maybe pilot.
The Bollywood singer you listen to the most? Favorite singer,
Kishore Kumar.
One dressing room colleague you get nervous around. Who makes you nervous?
When Gautiba was KKR, I was a bit nervous when he was.
Because senior?
Yeah.
Or because of his?
No, because of senior.
One film you can watch over and over again. Which movie you like to watch again and again?
Shawshank Redemption.
Sorry, dark films, huh? I'm very scared. What's your favorite excuse to get out of training?
I'm tired of bowling, so.
Who is your most cherished test wicket so far that you have got?
Hanscom and Maxwell, 2 wickets in debut, and of course in Sydney, getting Tim Payne out.
Cricket or politics? What do people from Kanpur like arguing about? This is a nice question.
Sorry, cricket and
Kanpur
politics.
Subculture mein, do they argue more about cricket or they argue more about politics?
Politics.
Yeah.
Because they don't see any changes.
A match from the past you wish you could have played. Is there some India match or some KKR match from the past that you wish you had been part of, but obviously you were too young? Like 83 World Cup.
World Cup, 2011 World Cup.
One annoying thing about Chahal. What's irritating?
Talks a lot.
The best PUBG player in Indian team.
My bhai, Manish,
2,
Chahal.
3. आप?
मैं बहुत कम खेलता हूँ, मैं उतना अच्छा नहीं हूँ. 3 लोग, केदार जाधव भी 4.
Welcome back to ESPN Cricinfo Match Day. Building up to game number 44. This is the last league game for both India and Sri Lanka. And let's now take you live to Headingley. This is Sanjay Manjrekar with both the captains for the toss. Okay, but if you're watching us on our digital platform, let's now bring you up to date with what's happening in the world of social media. This is Anubhav.
Thank you so much, Nikhil. It's a Saturday, so we'll kick things off with a hashtag that's trending every Saturday, Saturday Motivation, with KL Rahul providing that to us, with this picture of KL and Mayank Agarwal. And KL Rahul says, started from the bottom, now we're here. Lyrics to the famous Drake song, and a song that Nikhil Naz loves singing before he goes on air as a means to pump him up. Next up, we have Sanjay Manjrekar, who says he would love to see Mayank Agarwal get a game today, but he doesn't think it is going to happen. Next, we have a before and after picture that's really going to make Ajit Agarkar happy, because Ajit Agarkar looks much younger now than he looked back then. Ajit surely has been drinking from the fountain of youth. Next, we have another youthful personality, Swan, who says that it's much easier playing in the World Cup than covering it as a media person. And he says he lay down for a quick nap at 5 p.m. and woke up at 1:30 a.m. And then Dan Thomas from ESPN says that's happening only because he's been hanging around Alexis Nunes. Up next, we've got Ms Dhoni. And if you're wondering why Ms Dhoni has been using different bats in this World Cup, I've got the answer for you. It's because he's paying tribute to all the different brands that have helped him throughout his long cricketing career. And we're going to wrap things up with a piece of news that's really going to make Dan Vettori happy. Now, Dan was jealous because Rihanna got an invitation to Chris Gale's birthday bash, but Dan did not. We're missing the picture here. But it was a picture of a ticket to Chris Gale's birthday bash, 40 Shades of Gale. Dan, early bird tickets are now available, so please get them before they're all sold out.
How do you know I haven't got one?
Okay, imagine. I just want to know one thing, Anubhav. Is that ticket for the players as well, or just like for anyone who wants to buy?
For anyone, 80 USD.
All right, imagine being invited to a party with a fellow cricketer and being charged a ticket for that, and that's exactly what Chris Gale has done as far as his 40th bash is concerned. All right, that was the toss with Sanjay Manjrekar. The latest then coming from Headingley right now. Sri Lanka have won the toss and have decided to bat first. A quick word now, Ajit, from you. The Indian team, I mean, because it's a game that you can experiment, I know they're trying to finish first, but this is another thing. Apart from players, they would have liked to chase a total, which they couldn't quite do against England.
I'm sure they still want to bat first if it's a used pitch. I don't think, I mean, it wouldn't bother them now that they're in the semi-final. It's another challenge to look forward to. But given it's a used pitch, I'm sure Virat Kohli would have, like he said, would have ideally wanted to bat first. I don't think you unnecessarily want to put yourself in a difficult situation. If it arises, you deal with it, which they might have to now against Sri Lanka. But first things first, they'll have to bowl well.
Okay, interesting. Do you agree with that? Would you want to put yourself in that situation, deal with it now, or as Ajit says, deal with it when it comes?
Same as Ajit. I think you have to play the man, so play those conditions, what's put in front of you. Because I think teams in the past, once they've found their semi-final spots, when they've experimented, it's sort of put them off kilter a little bit heading into that important match. So, look, I think India are all about winning this game, and whether it's through selection or what they wanted to do at the toss, the only goal is to win the game, and they want performances out of individuals, but in the end, those performances have to lead to a win.
And just by experimenting in one game is not going to usually make matters different going into the semi-finals. So
okay, talking about experimenting, because that's what has happened as far as the Indian playing 11 is concerned. There are two changes there for India. One, you've got Kuldeep Yadav coming back in for Yuzvendra Chahal. The other is that Mohammad Shami is also not playing in this game, and you've got Jadeja. I'm just going to talk about Shami for now, hoping that this is just so that they can give Jadeja a run, not so much for, he went for plenty of runs in that game before that.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of went with Jadeja in the previous game at number 7, but now that you played Dinesh Karthik, you've got to stick with him another game at least to see, get him some game time. Okay. I hope with Shami, it's also to give Bhuvaneshwar Kumar another game. He's been out for a while, just played one game, the previous one. And what Karthik said, I think Shami's probably struggled a little bit towards the end of the innings. More execution. It's not that he doesn't have the skills to bowl, but there have been a couple of tough games as well, that India has played against England and then against Bangladesh. So I still feel Shami should play ahead of Bhuvneshwar Kumar in the semi-finals.
Yeah.
If they have to go with two, because he's picking wickets up front and in the middle of the innings, and that's one of the ways that you can stop teams with long batting lineups to pick wickets. Then it doesn't matter. I know Bumrah is a different case, but then it doesn't matter who bowls at the end. If there are wickets in hand for the opposition, you're going to go for plenty in today's cricket. So hopefully it's a break and also gives Bhuvneshwar Kumar another game, because there might be a case in Edgbaston, if India do play in Edgbaston, that they play three seamers.
Do you then tell Shami that you're not dropped for this game? We have faith in you, as Ajit says.
I think Ajit sums it up perfectly. I think there's no reason why Shami won't play the semi-final, and I think the main reason he'll play is because he's a wicket taker, and he may be just getting a rest because of the conditions that they're playing on. They want to see Jadeja on a worn wicket, leading into what they could possibly play in Edgbaston, or a slowish wicket at Edgbaston. So I think the selection is for this game, and it may be about giving Bhuvneshwar one, but I think we'll see Shami back for a semi-final because he is such a wicket taker.
Okay, so Shami, according to the two of you, should come back when India play that semi-final. Let's take you live now to Headingley. Alexis Nunes and Murli Karthik there. Alexis, Karthik's got his wish. Jadeja makes it to the playing 11.
He got his wish indeed. I'm going to start asking him to tell me some of the lotto numbers as well, but we'll get to that a bit later. So let's talk about the toss first. Of course, India losing the toss there, Sri Lanka electing to bat first. How upset would Virat Kohli be with this?
No, I don't think so, not at all, because he's one person who wants to challenge his team with everything. Again, they've made it to the semi-finals. It possibly is a good test for the way they want to chase, because there have been a few times, or possibly it's been laboured for India. I know the wickets have not been easy. It's been tough chasing during this World Cup, especially in the latter half of the competition. Teams batting first have predominantly won. And again, we've been talking about the fact that wickets are used. The grounds have been used again and again. You can only use that many when it comes to TV, and the fact that you want to be as central as possible. So keeping that in mind, I don't think Virat is upset at all. It's just that, yeah, he would have ideally, if given a chance, would have wanted to bat first and possibly rake up a big score, but that's not to be right now.
And let's talk about the changes now. You got your wish. Let's see that smile. You got your wish.
It was more than a wish. It was just a calculated or an estimated guess. Just got this feeling that Ravindra Jadeja might come into play with the fact that he adds so much to the team with his bowling. Chahal has been slightly expensive. They would want possibly Ravindra Jadeja to get a game and see how he goes. Kuldeep has come in. I was actually a bit surprised when Kuldeep got left out after the Birmingham game, because he did come back. He went for a few in the first 4 or 5 and then really pulled it back nicely. But again, as I said, behind closed doors, what the team is thinking, what Virat is thinking, and how they want to prepare for semi-finals is beyond. You can only make an estimated guess sitting outside.
All right, so you've given us your wish list. We'll see if India do indeed do that in this innings. I'm going to be prying you open for the lotto numbers after this, but that's going to be a wrap for us now, guys. We'll head back to studio and join you mid-innings.
All right, thanks so much, Alexis and Karthik. Go enjoy the game now, but let's quickly take a look at the Sri Lankan 11 as well. One change then for the Sri Lankan team, and you've got the leg spinner and Van der Sar going out, the all-rounder in Thisara Pereira coming in. Dilshan, your thoughts on that with Van der Sar? Do you think it had something to do with his performance in the previous game?
I think that might be one that where he bowled his last game might be Dimuth doesn't have that confidence play against India. I think his Indian batting lineup very strong against spinners. Might be that's why they wrote another all-rounder fast bowler. We have now 4 fast bowlers. Might be that's a case brought Thisara into the side.
Dan, what do you think? He reckons that it's because Indians play spin really well, but whatever little one saw Van der Sar in that game didn't inspire too much confidence.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Van der Sar. I think our lasting memory of him will be probably a poor bowling spell, and he couldn't actually be used at the back end. So Sri Lanka had to look to Angelo Matthews. So I think it's more about that performance rather than how good India are against spin, albeit they are exceptional against spin. I just don't think they couldn't go into this game thinking that they would get the same sort of performance.
Okay,
I don't think they want to bowl Angelo Matthews again.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question.
I don't think Angelo wants to bowl again either.
Sorry, rather he doesn't want to be.
But why
got
wouldn't you want to bowl after that performance? He was
exhausted.
bang on
It
the
was his
money. From
first bowl in 8 months.
But he was bang on the money right at the beginning. You know, after bowling with a gap of 8 months, he was still on the money there. Angelo Matthews almost turned the match right at that death. But let's quickly take a look at the Sri Lanka batting, because that's their problem here, not so much their bowling that we were discussing, especially the middle order. If you take a look at those, number 4 to number 7 for them, this is the lowest averages there, and Sri Lanka there with an average of 18.5 hasn't done too well. In fact, Afghanistan and Pakistan, New Zealand, South Africa, you can see, I mean, two teams like South Africa and Afghanistan, which haven't done well in the tournament as such, have better batting average as far as the middle order is concerned. Dilshan, I'll take that question to you. With the Pereira coming in, that sort of solves the problem, of that middle order. You now got an extra batsman in there.
If we include in Tisera, it's not going to be a big fat for Sri Lankan side batting, especially we are playing 6-7 batsmen. 7 batsmen should take the responsibility and try to bat rather than giving all-rounders to more chance. I think especially throughout the tournament we saw top order batting really well. I think throughout the tournament, last few games, a little bit they come to the confidence, might be they should carry. They should bat now positive. They have nothing to lose for the Sri Lankan side. We know we are out of the semi-final. This is a good opportunity without pressure. They should bat normally. Their own game, should try to bat well and finish this game.
We'll just continue our discussion as far as the Sri Lankan middle order is concerned, and we showed you the averages aren't great as well for that middle order. In fact, from over number 11 to if you see till the 50 over stage, it's probably a stage where they don't get too many runs. This is the middle order in Cricket World Cup 2019, and this is individually. If you take a look at that, you've got Kusal Mendes there with an average of 23, Angelo Matthews, two experienced players there, and then Dhananjaya De Silva more as a spinner in the team, but is also got an average of 14, but the rest of them really not chipping in as far as the Sri Lankan team is concerned. I'm just looking at Thiramane's number in the middle order. That's because Ajit, he was batting in the top order to begin with, but that one game that he played, got what, 45 runs. Maybe he's now beginning to sort that issue out for Sri Lanka.
Yeah, I mean, it's only one innings, but he looked good against the West Indies in that previous game. So, yeah, we used to seeing Thiramane up top, but the top order is doing fine at the moment with the captain himself and Pereira, and Fernando. So you got to look at. I think Angelo Matthews has started looking better as the tournament's gone on. Even with the previous game, although he got out, he looked quite fluent in that short little period that he was there. So it's been the problem in the World Cup that the batting hasn't stood up as much as Sri Lanka would have liked, and that's why they are where they are. But things have started to look better towards the back end of the tournament. Unfortunately, a little bit late, but at least there's some positives to take out of the tournament.
A quick word there, because these were the discussion that were happening as far as the Indian team is concerned. Two players I'm going to talk about, and rest is the word that was associated. Let's talk with Bumrah. Would you have rested him for the Indian team?
No, definitely not. I don't think that the World Cup's not a stage to rest players. I think there's enough break in between games, and also the players are so used to this scheduling. I think in a lot of ways the rest puts them out of their rhythm, and I think we talk about resting all the time from games. I think teams now are starting to rest players from practice, so they get that they get that freshness from not coming to training, not going through the grind. But when they come to the game, they're ready to go. So I think that's the more appropriate way to do it, and I think that's where teams are getting smarter around their rest. And I think if you ask Bumrah and asked him to rest for this game before a semi-final, he would not be happy. So I think players are desperate to play.
I think he said that at the press conference. He said, "It's my first World Cup. I want to play as many games as I can." Well, unless someone's carrying a niggle or is physically knackered from a long season, I don't think you should want to rest them.
The other one, and rest those two words together with regards to Ms Dhoni now. Would you have rested him? One, because we've seen him have that trouble with the back in the recent past. The other, probably that would have given you a chance to have tested both Kedar Jadhav and Jadeja in the same game.
Not at all. I mean, not going into the semi-final. There have been lots of talk about his form. You'd rather get him out and get him batting again. No, I don't think he's complained about any sort of physical discomfort. So no reason to. I think we've spoken enough through this show. I think you want to try and play your best 11 on the day and try and win the game.
Okay, so India have decided not to, really rest players as such. The two changes that you can see, we're getting to hear that Yuzvendra Chahal is a forced change. That's why they've got Kuldeep Yadav in, and the other one in Jadeja is something that the team has been thinking about, tinkering with. Also, the pitch conditions here are there, which is going to help the spin bowlers. Maybe that's why they've rested someone like a Shami and got in Jadeja. That's all that we have for you if you're watching us on TV in the Caribbean. Okay, but we'll continue our discussion on ESPN Cricinfo Digital. Now to the word that Murli Karthik there, with regards to Jadeja, do you think that this is sort of an audition for him to just maybe test him more than the condition, just see what he can give you in this World Cup and going forward might bring him?
No, I think it was a forced change with Chahal not playing as well. So gave them an opportunity to play another spinner. The conditions demanded to have two spinners. India anyway is playing just a 5-man attack. So I was a bit surprised that they played Edgbaston. I think they went too much on the size of the boundary and played an extra seamer there in the previous game with Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, Shami both playing along with Bumrah. I much prefer two spinners. Of course, you'll have to look at the conditions and the opposition, but the two-spin attack gives them a lot more balance. I know it because Dinesh Karthik's come in at number 6. Now it's just 5-man attack and all 5. That sometimes can be a little bit tricky. But at the moment, so I'm quite happy Jadeja is getting a game because
I think the interesting thing would have been if Chahal was still fit, would they have played Jadeja as well and gone with a six-man bowling
possibly
attack?
not.
Because the conditions obviously suit. Ajit's 100% right. They had to play two spinners, and with Chahal out, they had to bring Jadeja in. But I think there is a case for playing all 3. If you put Hardik Pandya up to 5, leave Dhoni at 6, and then Jadeja at 7. And once again, if conditions can suit that sort of bowling, Jadeja offers you so much control. I mean, he's exceptional through those middle stages, particularly against right-handers, where he can just get through overs quickly, and his economy is so low. And then it hands off to the rest of the attacking bowlers, and Shami, Bumrah, Kuldeep and Chahal.
I mean, with the 5-man attack, it's always so risky. If you generally have one guy having a tough day. If you have two guys with just 5 bowlers in your lineup, it just makes matter a lot tougher for the captain.
We're taking a look at Jadeja's record, and this is just ODI bowling in England. He's got an impressive record there. He's got an economy of 5.13, and then you see he's got 2 4-wicket hauls. Is not, I mean, let me go to the spinner on the panel. I mean, England not really the place that would suit someone like a Jadeja, you'd say, because of the pitches.
I'd be ecstatic with that record in England, particularly over the last few years where the scoring rate is so high, the boundaries are small, and more often than not, England have produced flat wickets, and we've seen 350, 360 regularly. So to have a spinner taking close to 2 wickets in innings and going for 5 runs and over, bowling at some tough times with the new power play rules, all those little things mean if he produces that in this game, a semi-final and final, then India will be exceptionally happy with that.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say to that, I'm sure a lot of those numbers are during the Champions Trophy as well. When the wickets did a little while back, and Ashwin and him both lost their place because they couldn't get enough wickets in the middle, and that's why Chahal and Kuldeep sort of got a long run and they did well. So it'll be interesting to see how Jadeja bowls now.
That's why I think he could be a complementary piece rather than... Probably back then he was the lead spinner. If he's second spinner or third spinner, then I think he offers Kohli and India so many options.
And when there is help, when the ball does grip the surface, he's a different bowler.
Exactly, which is why it was very surprising, because England's not really the place which suits the Jadeja kind of spinner. But Dan, if you're impressed by his spin bowling numbers, we'll bring up some numbers as far as his batting is concerned. And he's got a decent record, the ODI record batting in England. He's got an average of 70 at a strike rate of 108.91. Not quite the bits and pieces cricketer, Ajit. That many are calling it.
I didn't say it.
No, I know, you're not.
That's slightly better than decent.
I think his batting is much improved. Since he's sort of come back in the one-day fold, we've seen, even in some of the test innings that he's played recently, he's always had heaps of runs in first-class cricket, but the batting's a lot more improved. It's the bowling that Virat Kohli will be keen to see him bowl well today. If he does that, then this gives him another option if the conditions are like what they were in Edgbaston.
I was just going to say, Ajit would know better, but he feels like he's Mr. Reliable as well. He doesn't have bad games. He might not have taken the wickets you want, but you can rely on him to do a job with the ball, finish with the bat, and an exceptional fielder as well. So I think I really rate him as a player because he offers so much to a game.
Because we're talking about Ravindra Jadeja, let me talk about the other spinner in Kuldeep Yadav. After that game versus England, he was clearly dropped. What does this game do to him to bring that confidence back?
Well, Karthik made a really good point. He talked around how he finished well in the England game. So I think he had sort of 1 for 50 after 4 overs, and he finished with, I think, 1 for 60 or something, or late 60s. So he came back, he bounced back, and I think both him and Chahal have a mandate of being aggressive. So I don't think we can judge them on their RPO, because I think Kohli really wants them to take wickets and they can make it up in other places. So Kuldeep Yadav has bounced back from a tough IPL and bowled well in this tournament so far, and I think he'll bounce back on this, and he'll be excited about the surface more than anything. And I think he's bowled well against Sri Lanka in the past, so I think he'll have a good day.
Yeah, I think also they played Bhuvaneshwar Kumar as in 3 seamers, including Hardik Pandya, because of the boundary as well, and how England sort of used the game plan against India with bowling a lot into the pitch, slow balls, and that's where Kuldeep missed out. Not so much, I think, dropped because of the performance against England. I think India need both him and Chahal to play in the semi-finals if they have to create an impression in those middle period.
Ravindra Jadeja might have a thing or two to say, depending on how he performs in this particular game as well. But just to remind you that if you've been watching the Cricket World Cup very, very closely, you can also participate in the contest that we've got going on ESPN Cricinfo. You can also win a lot of goodies by predicting the correct winner, and this is how you participate in that.
Put your tipping to the test. Play Cricket Picks, the new predictor game from ESPN Cricinfo. Make predictions and track your progress throughout the tournament. The easiest thing you'll do all day. Go to espncricinfo.com/cricketpicks and play today.
All right, let's take a look at what our experts have picked, and most have gone with the Indian team, but I don't see Tillakaratne Dilshan's name on that. Dilshan, I'll give you an opportunity now. Pick the winner for this game. Now you also know the toss and the team.
Yeah, I think it's we last 3 games we won bat first. I think this game also, if we bat well, especially we have a batting unit should try to play positive from 10 to that's last 35 overs. After 10 overs we didn't bat well. Our average is very low in the middle overs. I think today is a big challenge. 2 spinners playing for India, Ajit and Kuldeep. I think these 20 overs are really crucial for the Sri Lankan batting unit. They should try to play positive. Thing is, they are playing only 5 bowlers. Sorry, I think we should put the pressure to spinners. If we put the 2 spinners, I think it's really good. We are playing 7 batsmen and plus 2 all-rounders. I think enough batting today. The middle overs we should try to dominate. Definitely middle overs today. They should try everything today in the middle overs. Especially these 2 spinners. We should put the pressure to 2 spinners.
Dilshan, you're saying 5 bowlers. I'm guessing you're not counting Angelo Matthews in that?
I don't think Angelo is bowling again. I think he's not comfortable that much bowling. He's carrying his injury. I think we have now 4 bowlers plus a spinner. I think we are going like last where he played against England, 4 fast bowlers. I think captain confidence with the 4 bowlers and 1 half spinner.
All right, thanks so much for that. Meanwhile, just a reminder, we are following every ball here, and you know what? We are also going to play the World Cup as the match happens on Hotstar Watch and Play, where you don't just watch the match, you play it, live alongside your favorite cricketer. All right, that's all the time that we have on our show. This building up to game number 44, India versus Sri Lanka. Action coming your way very, very shortly. And that's all that we have for you on ESPN Cricinfo Matchday. Thanks so much for joining us. Ajit, Agarkar, Dan Vettori and Tillakaratne Dilshan.